Next time you fly, try this. When the TSA asks you to look at the camera, politely say, "I'd like to opt out of biometric screening." Watch what happens. Most TSA agents will be confused. Some might push back. But here's the thing. They legally have to let you opt out. Want to know why most travelers don't know about this, right? Because nobody's telling you. Welcome back to Park and Post. Imagine walking through airport security without ever pulling out your ID. No fumbling with your passport at the gate. No waiting while a TSA agent squints at your driver's license photo from 5 years ago. Just your face. Sounds convenient, right? But what if I told you that the same face scan is being stored in a government database, tracked across multiple airports, and possibly shared with agencies you've never heard of? Welcome to 2025, where your face is becoming your boarding pass, whether you like it or not. What exactly is biometric screening? Let's start with the basics. Biometric screening uses your unique physical characteristics to identify you. Think of it like this. Your fingerprint is different from everyone else's. Your face is unique. Even identical twins have subtle differences, and your iris, the colored part of your eye, is completely one of a kind. At airports, the main type of biometric screening is facial recognition. Here's how it works in plain English. You walk up to a camera at security, the check-in counter, or a boarding gate. The camera takes a picture of your face in less than a second. That image gets compared to a photo already stored in a database, usually from your passport, driver's license, or visa application. The system matches your live face to your stored photo and confirms you are who you say you are. No ID needed. No boarding pass scan. Just your face. And it's not happening at just one checkpoint. Some airports are using facial recognition at multiple points throughout your journey. When you check bags, go through security, enter the lounge, and board the plane. The goal? A completely touchless travel experience. Sounds pretty futuristic, right? It is. But before we celebrate the convenience, we need to talk about what's happening behind the scenes. If you've flown recently, there's a good chance you've already been scanned, maybe without even realizing it. As of this year, the TSA has facial recognition technology at over 30 airports across the United States. We're talking major hubs like Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, Denver International Airport, Los Angeles International Airport, and Miami International Airport. And the list keeps growing. The TSA plans to expand this to over 400 airports by the end of the decade. That's basically every significant airport in the country. Airlines aren't waiting for the government either. They're rolling out their own biometric programs. Delta has biometric boarding at multiple terminals where your face is your boarding pass. JetBlue partnered with Clear to offer facial recognition at gates. United is testing facial recognition for international flights. Many international airlines flying into the U.S. use this tech too. Here's where it gets serious. Customs and Border Protection uses facial recognition on basically every international passenger entering or leaving the United States. And here's the kicker. If you're not a U.S. citizen, this isn't optional. You're getting scanned. Period. U.S. citizens can technically opt out. More on that later. But most people don't know they have that right. Okay, so your face gets scanned. What happens to that image? This is the question that keeps privacy advocates up at night. When you get scanned, that image doesn't just disappear in a thin air. It gets stored. The big questions are, how long is it kept? Who has access to it? What else can they do with it? Here's what the TSA says. They claim photos are deleted within 24 hours and aren't connected to your name or personal information. Sounds okay, right? But here's the catch. That only applies to U.S. citizens at TSA checkpoints. For Customs and Border Protection, U.S. citizens have photos kept for up to 12 hours, but non-citizens have their biometric data kept for up to 75 years. Yeah, you heard that right. 75 years. Here's what's really concerning. There's no comprehensive federal law specifically regulating how airports and government agencies can use facial recognition. Privacy advocates like the American Civil Liberties Union are sounding the alarm. They warn that we're building a massive surveillance infrastructure without proper safeguards. Think about it. What if that database gets hacked? What if your biometric data is shared with other government agencies without your knowledge? What if it's sold to private companies? What if you're wrongly matched to someone on a watch list? These aren't conspiracy theories. These are legitimate questions that don't have clear answers yet. Here's another huge problem. Facial recognition technology has racial and gender bias. Multiple studies have shown that these systems are less accurate on people with darker skin tones, women, older adults, and people with certain facial features. Research from a few years back found that some facial recognition systems had error rates over 30% higher for darker-skinned women compared to lighter-skinned men. Let that sink in. That means some people are more likely to get falsely flagged as a security threat, be rejected by the system and pulled aside, experience longer wait times, or be wrongly matched to someone else. This actually happened. Recently, a traveler in Detroit was detained for 4 hours because the facial recognition system misidentified him as someone on a no-fly list. 4 hours. Because a computer made a mistake. That's not just inconvenient. That's discrimination baked into the algorithm. Here's something most travelers don't know. You can refuse biometric screening. Seriously, you have the right to opt out. Here's exactly how to do it. When you approach a TSA checkpoint with facial recognition cameras, you'll usually see a sign that says something like biometric screening available. Politely tell the TSA officer that you'd like to opt out of biometric screening. That's it. You don't need to explain why. You don't need a special reason. You don't need documentation, because it is your right. The officer will then check your ID the traditional way, by looking at your face and comparing it to your ID photo. It might take an extra 30 seconds, but that's all. You won't get extra screening. You won't be flagged as suspicious. It's completely normal and legal. At Customs and Border Protection, things are trickier but still doable if you're a U.S. citizen. When you're entering the U.S. from another country and approaching the CBP checkpoint, simply say that you'd like manual document verification instead of facial recognition. They have to allow it by law. However, be prepared for some agents to be confused. Many aren't trained on opt-out procedures. Expect possible pushback or questions and a slightly longer process. Stand your ground politely. It's your legal right as a U.S. citizen. Important note, non-citizens generally cannot opt out of CBP facial recognition. If an airline is using facial recognition to board the plane, just show your boarding pass and ID to a gate agent instead. Most airlines still have a traditional boarding option. Look for the gate agent who's not standing by a camera, or simply walk up and hand them your documents the old-fashioned way. Here are some tips for opting out. Look for signs saying camera or biometric screening. If you see a camera pointed directly at face level, that's probably facial recognition. You can always ask to opt out. There's no penalty. Opting out doesn't trigger additional security screening. Be polite, but be firm with agents who seem unfamiliar with the opt-out process. But wait, some people actually love this technology. Okay, we've talked a lot about the concerns. But let's be fair. There are legitimate benefits to biometric screening, and many travelers prefer it. In airports where the technology works smoothly, you can get through security or board a plane in half the time. For frequent business travelers on tight schedules, parents traveling with young kids, or anyone who's ever missed a flight by 5 minutes, that speed matters a lot. Studies show biometric screening save an average of 3 to 5 minutes per checkpoint. Multiply that across millions of travelers, and you're talking about serious time savings. After the COVID pandemic, a lot of people prefer not to hand their ID to multiple strangers, touch shared screens in kiosks, or stand in close contact while documents are checked. Facial recognition is completely touchless. You walk up, glance at a camera, and you're done. Security experts argue that biometrics actually make airports safer. It's much harder to fake a face than to forge an ID or use someone else's passport. The technology can theoretically catch people using fake passports, stolen identities, or fraudulent travel documents. Let's be real, air travel is exploding. More people are flying than ever before, and airports are struggling to handle the volume without massive delays. Airlines and TSA are under immense pressure to move people through faster without hiring hundreds more staff. Automation is part of their solution. So here's my honest assessment. The benefits include faster screening that saves 3 to 5 minutes, a touchless and more hygienic process, making it harder to fake your identity, reducing airport congestion, and offering convenience for frequent travelers. The drawbacks include privacy concerns and data storage, no comprehensive legal protections, risk of data breaches or misuse, accuracy issues for certain demographics, potential for government surveillance expansion, and creating normalcy around constant tracking. The question is, do those benefits outweigh the risks? That's something each traveler has to decide for themselves. There's no objectively right answer here. It depends on your personal values around privacy, convenience, and trust in government systems. Now, if you think facial recognition at airports is concerning now, buckle up. The future is going to get way more high-tech. The Transportation Security Administration has announced plans to expand facial recognition to over 400 airports by the end of the decade. That's basically every major and mid-size airport in the United States. They're also testing systems that can scan your face while you're walking. No need to stop and look at a camera. Track your movement throughout the airport and cross-reference with multiple databases in real time. Look at places like Dubai, Singapore, and Tokyo. They already have airports where you can go from check-in to boarding without showing ID once. Your face is your boarding pass, your lounge access, your meal purchase, everything. That's likely where the U.S. is headed too. Imagine this scenario a few years from now. You arrive at the airport, and a camera at the entrance recognizes you and links to your flight reservation. You walk to a bag drop, and the system automatically tags your luggage. You walk through security without stopping. Cameras confirm your identity in motion. You enter the lounge, and the door unlocks when it recognizes your face. You walk onto the plane, and your seat recognizes you and displays your preferences. No tickets. No IDs. No boarding passes. Just you. Convenient? Absolutely. Dystopian? That's where opinions diverge sharply. It's not all one-sided, though. Privacy advocates, lawmakers, and concerned citizens are fighting back. Some states are considering laws requiring explicit consent before facial recognition can be used. Congress has held multiple hearings about facial recognition regulations. Privacy organizations like the ACLU and Electronic Frontier Foundation are filing lawsuits. Some cities like San Francisco and Boston have banned government use of facial recognition entirely. The European Union's GDPR provides much stronger protections for biometric data than the U.S. currently has. Right now, we're at a critical decision point as a society. One path leads to ultra-convenient, fully automated airports where your face gets you everywhere. Fast, efficient, frictionless travel, but with massive surveillance infrastructure and minimal privacy. The other path has slower adoption with strong privacy laws, transparency requirements, independent audits, and real consequences for misuse of biometric data. Which path we go down depends on whether travelers actually care enough to speak up, demand accountability, and use their opt-out rights. So what should you do? After researching this topic extensively, here's my honest advice. Technology is changing fast, and policies are evolving constantly. What's optional today might be mandatory tomorrow. Keep up with TSA policy updates, privacy advocacy organization alerts, and state and federal legislation. You can opt out at TSA checkpoints for now. You can refuse facial recognition as a U.S. citizen at CBP, though it's more complicated. Exercise these rights if privacy matters to you. There's no shame in using biometric screening if the convenience outweighs your privacy concerns. And there's no shame in opting out if you're uncomfortable with the technology. What matters is making an informed decision rather than passively accepting whatever system is put in front of you. If you're concerned, take action. Opt out consistently to show there's demand for traditional screening. Contact your representatives about facial recognition regulation. Support privacy advocacy organizations fighting for stronger protections. Educate others about their opt-out rights, because most people have no idea these rights exist. If you're fine with using the technology, at least understand the trade-off. Your photo is being stored, even if temporarily. The technology has accuracy issues for some people. There are minimal legal protections for your biometric data right now. The system will likely expand significantly in coming years. Airport biometric screening is here. It's spreading fast, and it's not going away. Is it a privacy nightmare? It has the potential to be, especially without strong regulations and transparency. Is it a travel revolution? For some people, it genuinely makes flying easier and faster. The technology itself is neither inherently good nor bad. It's how we implement it, regulate it, and allow or prevent its expansion that matters. What we're really deciding is this: how much convenience are we willing to trade for privacy? And more importantly, can we have both? I believe we can, but only if travelers stay informed, exercise their rights, and demand accountability from the government agencies and private companies deploying these systems. Now I want to hear from you. Have you encountered biometric screening at an airport? Did you opt out, or did you use it? What are your biggest concerns or questions about this technology? Do you think the convenience is worth the privacy trade-off? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you learned something new from this video, share it with a fellow traveler who might find it useful. Safe travels, and remember, your face is your choice.